dim recesses of the huge chamber seemed to never end. Clusters of stalagmites formed a battleground that favoured the skeleton archers, who were able to slip their arrows through the gaps in the calcified spears of rock as they nestled within them. Two Bones struggled with the steep descents within the network of caves, so it was just Titan and myself. Slowly but surely, I illuminated the cavern, and within started the foundations of an underground base. Talus and I went back to Fool's Landing to collect some things that would hopefully sustain us deep underground. I decided to bring the newest cow along too. Bova enjoyed the cramped spaces under the dirt of the crop tower and resisted being taken up into the open. In the end, I had to break through the walls just to get her out. After the painstaking walk across the savannah, she happily navigated the tunnels to join Two Bone in the stone fort that stamped our claim on the cave. As the shell of the base grew, I started to feel more safe and secure. I'd seen the dripstone in the caves once before, when I had stumbled into an underground passage. Then, I had been too tentative to venture onward, but now I was moulding the huge rock formations around me. The cave was damp, with plenty of pockets of water I wanted to use for farming in the dingy light. I'd not grown anything underground before, so I hoped it would work. Isolated underground, I could only imagine what the people of the savannah were up to, but with Two Bone, Titan, Bova and lots to do, I was hardly lonely. I tried to hatch some company for Bova, but no luck. For now, our underground home would have to do without chickens. I wondered if this place had ever been explored before. As Gloria always said, most of the remnants of the Sky Kingdom and the other civilizations in the region had eroded away. So perhaps I wasn't the first. Or perhaps I was. The thought of being the only soul to ever walk these grounds was a lonely one. Ooh, lapis lazuli. The lapis lazuli wasn't the only discovery I made whilst building. When I was excavating around the main structure, I uncovered a brilliant purple crystal passage with glowing gemstones. I was in awe of the tunnel's beauty, but didn't allow myself to be distracted. Besides, with my magical equipment, it was a joy to fill the moat with the water of the cave. As I was getting used to the dank and dark underground, the light of the savannah was welcoming, as was Georges in the Grumpy Village, especially as I had fulfilled my promise to deliver Lushville's grindstone to the forge. Now the blacksmith triplets could work in harmony. Yes, I made a very favourable agreement with Lud. Well, at least you're good for something. I could see the jungle from the entrance of the cave. To some it must be hard to navigate, but I was leaping up the vines of the tall trees, and Two Bone was certainly enjoying himself. my stewardship, the opening around the cave became a sanctuary for the invasive mangrove species, with the slopes of the mountain atop the cave now also sporting a handful of jungle trees too. After toiling in the hot sun that the mangroves were somehow thriving in, I remembered one of the reasons I'd gone out to explore in the first place, and hurried back to Fool's Landing, lapis lazuli in hand. Two-Bone and Titan were back at the cave with Bova, but Seville and Enin were happy to keep me company. They were wary of the ethereal witch that haunted the enchanting table, but I was coming around to her. Following Aquazar's advice, I placed the books I had lying around near the magical table, and sure enough, I was privy to a slightly more powerful enchantment for my iron axe. I explained to Aquazar that I was harvesting mangrove trees for the moss carpets that grew on them. I wanted to insulate the roofs of my underground base against the pernicious dripping of the stalactites.
Back in the swamps of Pascal, we would use bone meal to collect all the moss we could ever need. I miss my mother's moon ceremony. Ow.
Just like Aquazar said, the moss in the skeleton stable multiplied rapidly with just a touch of bone meal. I made more, but the seeds I had lying around wasn't enough. After I had harvested the moss and left the skeleton horses with new foliage, I realised I'd forgotten to use the bones I'd collected, or the heaps of bones I already had lying around. Underground base had cost me falling twice, once very literally. At least I'd used some of my reserves of magic before I lost most of it. My ability to return to a tethered bed after falling was still a secret, and even though my head was spinning when I nipped back to the grumpy village to pick up some dirt, no one else batted an eye.
Easy, lad, just take that.
That's fall. You probably collected it in the first place. Mosstite. From here, I would delve deeper. I was chopping those mangrove trees forever, collecting those moss carpets, until I found out that you could just use bone meal on the moss, which also means that whoever it was I bought the moss off the trader that one time, and I wasted a lot of emeralds doing that because I just needed to pick up one moss block. But there we go. More knowledge, more better. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.